allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to come together to serve you, serve the people of Martin County. And Father, we just pray that you will be with us as we go through the operations of the school, the meeting tonight. We pray, Lord, that it will bring honor to you, and that all things here will be done according to your will. For this we pray in your Son's name. Amen.
I need a motion for approval of the agenda.
Mr. Hayes, excuse me, sir. I made a mistake in setting up the agenda and would like to move the calendar issue from an action item to an information item, please.
Move we move the calendar thing to an action item, so information.
Move it from action.
From action to information, okay, from action to information.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the one change, moving the school calendar from action to information item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Per Mr. Chair's request, I'm providing the administrative steps for public comment. Number one, individuals will be given 3 minutes to make their presentations. Request to speak for a group will be granted 5 minutes to address the board. Number two, individuals or groups will be called on to speak in the order on the sign-up sheet. Number three, if an individual is not present or declines to speak, the next person on the sign-up sheet will be called upon. Number four, if the 20-minute period ends during a speaker's presentation, the public comment period will end at the conclusion of the time period allotted to the presenter. Number five, any material that the individual or group wishes to present to the board should be submitted prior to the meeting so they can be distributed. Number six, the board will not respond to comments except to request clarification of points made by the presenter. Number seven, the superintendent will provide a written response for questions posed to the board within 10 working days of the meeting. And number eight, the board will not hear public comments relating to personnel issues or student issues that are under investigation by the administration.
Ashley Perry.
Hello, my name is Ashley Perry. I am the mother of Kamachi Hines. The incident that happened February 7th, my son was suspended for 10 days and he was indefinitely suspended from sports. We recognize that what my son did was wrong, but I feel like it's double jeopardy. My son should not have received 10 days without investigating anything, without even calling me, without asking around what went on, because I was actually there. My son was assaulted. I was there. His mother, me, Ashley Perry, was assaulted as well that night. Nobody from the AD didn't reach out to us, the principal didn't reach out to us to ask, was there anything, any comments, whatever happened? Nobody. To this day, I haven't received documentation for the 10 days that my son received. I have been calling the school, asking to talk to the principal. I have been calling the school, asking to talk to the AD. Nobody has responded to me. I've called the Board of Education. Nobody has been responding. It's been excuse after excuse after excuse. It's being investigated. Okay, it's been a month now. My son is not a bad child. He's very smart. He's humble. He's on honor roll. He works on the weekend, but sports is his thing. To take away sports from him is heartbreaking because my son likes to be busy. I'd rather for my son to be in sports than out here in the streets. I work hard. I work every day. I make sure me and my three, survive. Taking this away from him is not good because I worry. When he gets out of school, I have to work. I'm not there when he gets out of school. I don't want him out in the streets. I don't want him walking around. I just don't want him, I want him to stay the kid that he is, because he's a great kid. He is. He doesn't give me any problems. He doesn't give anybody any problems. And what he has to go through, it's not worth it, and it's harsh. And to me, being his mother, it breaks my heart because I work hard. I'm a single Black parent, and I work hard to make sure that he had. And for him to go through this, they didn't see the whole video. The news showed what they wanted to show. I was there from start to finish. I have video from start to finish. My son wasn't wrong because he was a kid and he was reacting out. He was defending himself. And it's not fair. It's not fair to take that away from him. Because at the end of the day, if he is charged, he's a juvenile. It will never see the light of day. It's not a felony charge. It's not gonna go against him. He's still going to college. He still has a whole year left in Martin County school system. And I feel like Martin County has failed my child. Nobody has reached out. Is he okay? Are you okay? Nobody has. If Martin County is for the kids, Martin County needs to be for all of our kids, not certain individuals, all. My son has not been treated fairly, and I really don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate this at all. I feel like my son needs to be reinstated because he needs to run track. He has sponsors in Williamston that sponsor him for football. They know he's a great child. He know he comes from a family that actually loves him. Take care of him. Pray for him. I pray for him daily. I pray for all three of mine daily because this world is cruel. They don't care about our Black boys. Let's be honest. They don't care, but I care. I have to be the spokesperson for my child. I have to. And I'm gonna do everything in my willpower to stand behind my child. And this punishment, it's not right. It's not right at all. One person is telling me, oh, we have to talk to Dr. Cecil. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved.
Mr. Chair, Board, I'd like to ask Mr. Travis Wester from Riverside High School to join me. Mr. Wester just had an amazing experience in January. He was selected as an educator of excellence by the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. And I wanted him to tell us a little bit about his experience.
Yeah, so I found out that I was selected to go to Yellowstone, and our immediate, the group of 10 that went, we all had the same immediate response. It must have been a shallow pool that they were drawing from, but we were assured that there were lots of applicants, and so it was an honor to be chosen, especially with the people that I was chosen from. The representatives were from all across the state, and we flew to Yellowstone and spent 8 days down there, and it was absolutely life-changing. And it was life-changing not just because, you know, we got to go and see awesome sights and stuff, which we did, but we got to experience all that stuff with fellow educators. I mean, it was teachers who are in the trenches just like I am, and you realize that you have similar struggles, and that everything that you may think are issues are not isolated. It's everywhere. And the network of friends that we formed while we were there, it was just as powerful as all the stuff that we saw. And so opportunities to do things like that, I would strongly encourage any educator to do. One of the bad things that's happened since COVID is it seems like all of our professional development we do is online. And because it's easy to do online, that's what it all is. And things like this where you actually get to go and do an experience with people who are outside of your comfort level just make a huge difference. And, you know, I was able to see things like I've been teaching about chemosynthetic bacteria for 17 years in biology. And I know all about them because I've read all the things I'm supposed to read, but, you know, I've seen them now. And that makes a huge difference when I can actually bring that back to the classroom. Some of our kids will never have the opportunity to leave Martin County, but when you have teachers who are able to have opportunities like that, they're able to bring those places to them. And so I'm just very grateful that I was chosen.
He was one of 10 in the state. I think that was have one of them.
Some of you may have seen this in the Enterprise this week, but Ms. Renee Purvis, our vice chair, recently completed the Advanced Leadership Corps training. It is offered annually to select local elected officials by the School of Government at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The Advanced Leadership Corps training is an intensive leadership development program designed by the school's Center for Public Leadership and Governance. The week-long residential program is a dynamic experience that helps participants learn about their own leadership styles, inspire others to work toward a shared vision, and gain insight into how to work together to build better relationships and achieve far-reaching results. More than 185 local elected leaders from across North Carolina have completed this selected program since its inception. Generous financial support from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners allows elected officials from across the state to attend with only a modest cost to the local unit of government. Ms. Purvis, thank you for what you are doing. Congratulations on your achievement. All right, information items. Departmental overview is first.
Good evening, board. In staying with Dr. Daly, having each department give a general overview of their roles and responsibilities, I come tonight to speak about our maintenance department of Martin County Schools. I first want to start by just identifying the employees in that department. There are 8 employees. We have 3 HVAC technicians, Warner Hollis, Braxton Garner, Kenneth Parker. We have an electrician, Travis Scott, a plumber, Hunter Cook, carpentry, Roy Taylor, a locksmith and pesticide agent, Brian Thomas, and a warehouse specialist, Jed Modlin. Now keep in mind that all our techs assist each other on a daily basis so that they're all cross-trained and they help to fix whatever's broken. So even though they have specific titles that we try to match their skill sets up, they still do other things. We have HVAC technicians doing plumbing when they're not busy doing HVAC work. So they all cross-trained. Also, related to our maintenance department of custodians, we currently have 26 custodians that assist maintenance with cleaning the buildings and maintaining the grounds at the schools. Custodians are school-based employees, and their first line of management or supervision is through the principals in the school. So we share some responsibilities with custodians. Next, I'll speak about equipment. The equipment in our department that the county provides us with we have good equipment. Commercial units, big units, we have a big bucket truck that we use to service high reach items. A dump truck, a backhoe, forklift, are just some of the commercial type units. Our vehicles, We currently have 3 trucks and 5 service vans. And we try to, just for the record, we've been trying to rotate those vehicles out every 20 years. So we keep those vehicles in service a long time. They're maintained at the transportation department. They maintain county vehicles for us. But that's kind of an overview of what our vehicles are. The building facility, we're housed in an 80 by 120 foot metal building. And in that main building is a parts room, a couple of offices, a break room, a mechanical area for welding and doing some machine type work, and then a carpenter shop, and also a storage area that's secured by a cage, so we keep some of our supply items locked up that they don't get away from us when people are out of the building. There's also a 40 by 40, a 40 foot metal building that we have supply storage stuff for metal, PVC pipes. There's a scissor list, a spray buggy, some things that we try to keep secure. That's a secured building that we can keep locked up too. So some bigger items, maybe a spare air conditioning unit or whatever that we have that takes space, so we keep that in a storage facility. Our facility, we share the grounds with the bus garage, the transportation department, and some big fit-stem compound there. If y'all haven't seen that, so we do keep that, and that's a secured grounds too. The fence is locked and secured. Moving on to responsibilities. We service and maintain 9 school buildings, 2 office facilities, the bus garage, maintenance buildings, storage buildings, athletic facilities, and kitchen areas, and the grounds around the campuses. And since our department moves about the schools, we get calls, and we get called on to move things, bring things, lift things, carry things between schools, deliver things, distribute things. We are everybody's handyman. And, but that is our job, and that's what we do. And we get plenty of calls for that. And how we get those repair requests, those calls, is we take requests from all sources of the school system. They come from the schools, they come from the school teaching staff, administrative staff, kitchen staff, any person in the school system. They fax in a copy, a work request, if we have standardized form, fax in a work request, and we use that as a paper trail, and I distribute and dispatch that from our office out there. So we have to prioritize those tickets when they come in, and then we work from that. So that's how that process works. Moving on to budgets and spending, which is a fun topic. The maintenance department operates on 2 basic fund sources. Approximately $2 million a year, and it varies some depending on the size of the projects and how they fall into place. So sometimes they carry over, but our current expense budget is day-to-day operating expenses. And then our capital outlay budget is, as you would know, is project-specific funding. Now, we've had the ESSER funds in the last year and a half, 2 years, and that has expanded our spending quite a bit. And some examples of those projects I listed because we really hadn't, I don't know that they've all been identified, but we put dehumidifiers and water coolers, washers and dryers, we put tile flooring, we've done the flooring in the media centers, we bought janitorial supplies, we just approved an HVAC project at Riverside, and we're in the middle of the project, HVAC bidding process now. All of those projects were done through ESSER funds, and that is over and beyond the capital outlay and current expense. Because we are budget driven, and because, as we know, in the last 2 years, part prices and cost factors have changed so much. We work closely with the finance department to assure that the spending is properly funded and not abused. And as you know too, we've been to you when something major breaks, if something major happens, we have to make funding arrangements, however it be. Come to the board and try to find a way to get things so we can keep school open. And so this puts more emphasis on operating within a budget, and in today's market, as things have gone up 20–30%, it can get away from you fast. So we do work very tightly with the accounting department, finance department to make sure We're staying on target. As the year end draws near, those meetings get closer and closer, and then communicate, make sure that we're on target for that. That is an area that can cause problems if you get away from it quick. That's a quick overview. Do you have any questions? Yes, Ms. Carter.
What have we done for the schools since COVID came? They were always talking about the air, quality of the air. Dehumidifier, I assume all schools have that now?
They have.
And is
Some-
that
and some-
what they were talking about, or
Well, dehumidifiers,
that's to help the moisture?
COVID, they want you to introduce, this is my time. COVID wants us to introduce outside air in the rooms. So you bring in outside air, it's blended air, they say, because that helps. COVID is an airborne, transmitted airborne, and they focus on that. So dehumidifiers, when you bring outside moisture into the room, your humidity levels go up in the buildings. So we've installed dehumidifiers mainly in schools. Some schools are worse than others, like Riverside Middle has dehumidifiers built in their system. So we put one in the media center where the reading is, because it's in the middle of the building, and it's harder to get to, but certain schools got more emphasis than others because they already had moisture-related problems. The flooring with tile, taking out carpet, dirty carpet, and putting tile in is easier to sanitize. That was air related. The HVAC systems that we're putting in, like I said, bring in a blended air. They introduce outside air into the facility instead of just circulating the same air. So they're all things that address the air concerns. They meet that air component with the COVID, that allow us to spend that extra fund for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
Questions?
I'd like to close with this, just saying something. For Martin County Schools, we're fortunate to have a department that's capable of doing many extensive jobs. Most of the surrounding counties, not all, but most of the surrounding counties around us do maintenance tasks such as changing air filters and ceiling tiles and light bulbs, just simple maintenance tasks. Our department prides itself on this. We install air conditioning systems, we service boilers, we build roofs, and we replace sewer lines. We do whatever we can without having to outsource. And when you have to outsource those jobs, it costs a lot of money. And we're able to save those funds because we have good quality people that are willing to do that. And Martin County is blessed to have that in this maintenance department. I wanted to end with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Strong.
Mr. Taylor, Ms. Vice Chair, and the board, but thank you for the opportunity just to review a little bit about what I've been doing since I came on board. It's been quite some time since we've had a person dedicated to the things I've been working on, so I just wanted to let you know where my time is spent. To quote a gentleman that we all know well, keep it with the main thing. Everything I do should come back to a couple of main things. And that is continually strengthen school-to-home communications, district to home, and district to stakeholders. And by that, I mean everybody that doesn't have children in the system. And also telling our story. We're now in a time when I came through Martin County Schools, we were pretty much the only game in town. We're no longer the only game in town, so we have to be our biggest promoters. And that's a lot of what I do, and I enjoy every minute of it. The outlets we use for that are social media, the school and district websites, the local media, which is television, in which we are great to have a great relationship, especially with WNCT out of Greenville, and newspapers. And then the district call system, which is at the district and the school levels. My role is a lot of support and training. I have to empower folks to be, I can't do this, I'm one person. I'm a one person with communications attached to my name, but the whole PR team is every employee of Martin County Schools. And I need to be there to support them and make sure they have the tools they need to tell their own stories. Whether it's training on social media, training with the websites, or with the call system. And I'm there to run support for them in every way. ThrillShare is our platform that we use for much of this. It's a multimedia platform. On this one platform, we work for calls to homes, which now we can do in English and in Spanish. I'm very proud we've been able to add that this past year. And it's only a couple of extra clicks for any administrator or anyone making the calls. So and we're going to keep getting better at that. Post to social media and the website. That can sit down and do it in one sitting with this platform. We train the folks to do that. It keeps time minimized and it gets a good product. And then the web pages are also done through what we call Thrill Share. And it is a very easy to use program. We use this for district-wide announcements like a remote day. Different things. And we're trying to do all of our district-wide announcements now in English and in Spanish. We have a large population of Hispanic families, especially in the South Creek area. And the South Creek schools are doing a great job, especially in focusing on that. A lot of times our announcements are to support our partners, like the health department, and recruiting for teen court, and any other partners in our community, because as we all know, we can't do this without our partners. ThrillShare also allows me to run reports. This is something else I can take off of the school level folks. I can go and take the analytics from one phone call, run a report, export it, and see what numbers are not being answered, what numbers show up as disconnected, or might be rejected by the cell carriers. I can pare that down to a much smaller report and give it to the data managers, and they can follow up with students. The way our system works is when they make a change in PowerSchool, it automatically changes in the call system with no extra work. Thanks to Doug Bullock's help, we were able to get that streamlined. So one time it's updated in PowerSchool, the correct number is now in the call system as well. So again, we're streamlining things and getting it done. This is also open, ThrillShare's open to teachers and coaches. And we're moving towards getting more folks to use this because we can secure, families' phone numbers are in a secure setting when we use this system. And in the days of spam and robocalls, we're trying to make sure we use as many secured avenues as we can to protect our families. You can see in the presentation, another way we're telling our stories is a request for coverage, is what I call it. Administrators can contact me to request media coverage for events, such as we had the Rogers Elementary School's 100 Days celebration. Everything they did was to benefit someone else. I was able to find out about it in advance. Media was not able to come, but due to my background, I was able to go play in-house reporter, which I do quite often. And so that way we have it covered, we get it to the media and send it out ourselves. An event like that, we sit down, takes me maybe 5 minutes after I've prepared it to go to our social media for school and district, the website, it's out everywhere, and to our partners. So anytime I can, I act as an in-house reporter. And with my background between television and newspaper, that comes pretty easy for me, so I'm glad to do it. A couple of best practices in the presentation. Shout out South Creek Elementary School. Ms. Kayla Green, the media coordinator there, has really jumped in and she is doing everything in both English and Spanish for the website and the social media. We're trying to grow that social media community and it's working. She's doing very well. And now this is the practice. This is not something that once in a while they do, it's every time. And she is doing a great job. Also for things like a change in a bus schedule. Sometimes this happens at the last minute. Facebook is a very easy way to get that announcement out. And when she does this, it's always in both languages. Rogers Elementary School, they're doing amazing things, bragging on their kids. Awards, different things, anything positive, just getting it out there. And that's what's so crucial right now. Also, Dr. Cross is really good at using it for things like bus announcements and changes or emergency type information. And I want to brag on Riverside High School. Ms. Crystal Mose, the media coordinator there, has a fantastic system for collecting the weekly announcements. She posts them herself. They're on social media. They're on their website. And it's all the exact same as what the administrators use. Another big thing for Riverside, their culinary arts teachers have really embraced promoting what the kids are learning, what they're cooking, what they're working on in class. And hopefully this will translate into more students participating in the CTE program. Ms. Hale up at South Creek High School is doing the same thing, and it's good to see. One of my favorite things that we started this year is called Being Awesome. It is a very simple way to empower our folks that good things are being noticed. And the young lady you see is the first one, Miss Valeria, first grader in Janesville. She only spoke Spanish a year ago. Now she's helping other students who are still trying to get a grasp on English. She is the one who makes them feel comfortable and helps them acclimate to their new setting. Mr. Andrews at Riverside, and hopefully you'll see more and more. I have no problem finding these good stories. That's the best part. If I look up, I can find one. Another part of my time is spent with special projects. I have a little bit of a background with graphic arts from my time at Channel 7. So I work with programs like the kindergarten registration to help do a look or a graphic design for those. Also for the, like the career fair that's coming up. So a lot of those, you see, will have customized artwork and things, and it's helped as a part of our branding. And then finally, we can always get better. And one thing I'm trying to do is watch things that I can measure. Facebook gives us a lot of great statistics. We can see in the past year from March 1 of 22 to March 1 of 23, we've gained 507 new followers on the district page. And I'm still learning what their dashboard has to offer, but it's a lot of good information that shows me what's working, where we need to work harder at. We've also recently added Google Analytics to the Martin County Schools website, and that includes all the schools. So that'll show us again where we need to work hard and what's going good. And coming soon, we're going to be joining on Instagram. That's where we're going to find a lot of our younger folks. And so that is a little bit about what I've been up to. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What does the, your long range goals look like? So say, what would you like to achieve 2025, 2027?
Every school being self-sufficient and having their own practices firmly in place to tell their stories. We're getting it. It's going to take some more work, but people are stressed. They're kind of stretched. So we're trying to figure out the most time-efficient ways to help the schools tell their own story. And my biggest goal would be for every school to have their own plan in place.
Have you talked to all the principals to let them know all you're doing and all those teachers can be doing?
And
Communication is the key.
That's an ongoing conversation.
Okay.
It's there, and we keep having it, and we keep adding to it, and they know I'm a phone call away.
Right. That might be good to, when y'all meet monthly with principals, just do a little spiel.
What I do, I update them on things going on and make sure anyone new coming in knows what they have. Our new assistant principal up at South Creek that started today. We'll meet with him, get him trained on the call system and anything else he needs access to.
Well, I'm proud of you for all you're doing and taking something that we had nothing hardly except a newspaper, and we all know probably a lot of eighths of the citizens take the newspaper, so you'll find that you're taking the initiative, and I think that's good.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Gold.
Dr. Monroe.
Good evening, Chairman Heath, Vice Chair, all members. Here to present to you share with you the information regarding our COVID updates at our schools. With regards to the numbers, we are seeing a decline. Last year's numbers, last month's numbers, we had 37 students and 12 staff members that reported positive cases. Again, this number was up from the previous year because of the change that happened with the health department and the North Carolina Department and the CDC with regard to what are reportable tests. Now, home tests are considered or can be reported with regard to the numbers that we are including. So we can see that our numbers have decreased for the month of February, where we only had 21 students and 10 staff members. This is echoed with regard to the information that I received from the health department, Mr. Gray. He says that the Martin County community spread has gone from green, which is low, according to the CDC tracker. We are also seeing a decline in the COVID numbers across the state and the region. He also states that we are also below level with flu cases. These numbers He says that the trend that we are in is a positive trend, and it seems as that they will continue because of what seems to be a introduction or of a early spring of what we've seen with regard to pollen and other things too. So our school nurses likewise are reporting the same things with regard to cases of student and illnesses and other things as well. So that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monroe. Dr. Davis.
Good evening. We've heard a lot about ESSER, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund, also the governor's emergency education relief funds we've gotten over the past several years. What we had was a real rush for people to allocate money. The rules for that have been evolving as we go through. Sometimes it's about as clear as a muddy creek. And then sometimes I'm not sure if it's just a bunch of mud in terms of the clarity. But attached, you'll see a letter we got recently from the State Department of Public Instruction from our program audit. One thing I would point out is if you look at it, you can see ESSER 1 and here, and you see a line that says PRC, and you have all those numbers out there. Some people think we just get a pot of money. You know, they put it all in one thing and spend it. State doesn't do that. It does federal government. They normally put it in restricted funding sources, where those funding sources can only be used for certain things in certain ways, and you've got to follow the rules. You know, things done in haste, as this was, rules constantly change, and you got to struggle to keep up to make it work. So I think it's important to note the folks in Martin County that did, all of us did, I think all of them did a good job, but particularly the ones who tried to work with this. Ms. Rogerson and Ms. Wagner, who recently retired, who started the process, and Dr. Cecil and Ms. Tilly have taken it over. And when they got finished with all the funds, we've expended several millions of dollars worth in the last couple of years. In terms of the program side, we did not have a single exception of anything there. He speaks to the people who have been here, they're working with the folks that are coming in, and the quality of the folks we have working with it now. I'd just like to bring that to the board's attention and thank him for a good job.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks, sir. Ms. Tilly?
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
First, I want to talk about quarterly financial report and where we're at as of the end of January. And I know that's not the end of a quarter, but I wanted to go as far out as we could, and since I wasn't able to get here last month. But our state spending is at about 53%, locals at 62%, federal's at about 21%. But remember, that has funds in it that will carry beyond this fiscal year, so that's a little bit lower. Nothing to be worried about. We're good. We're monitoring, as Dr. Daly said, we're monitoring the ESSER funds, which is a big portion of our federal funds. Capital's at 21%, school nutrition's at 48%, and Fund 8, which is kind of all of that other, where a lot of our grants land, is at 47%. It's not on the slide, but you guys should have a copy of the budget summary, the quarterly report that I gave. And if I were in your seat, there would be one question that I would ask. And one of the questions that I would ask would be about local, as far as the instructional service line being so far over budget. As you know, this year, we are contracting for our substitute teachers as opposed to them being W-2 employees. And with the rate, the frequency that we receive bills, we're having to charge all of those costs to local just to keep up with the bills. And then we are moving the expenses and cost allocating them to the different buckets, as Dr. Daly referred to, all of these funds, as we get an opportunity to move those. So you will see that go down. In addition, because we're able to use local money to pay for some of that, we're able, and we've had some teachers that we haven't filled because we've got subs and some vacant positions. That's freeing up state money, and we're able to move positions that were being paid for locally into that. And so it's kind of a shuffle game of sorts. And so while right now it might look like we're overspending in that line, and we are as of January 31st, but please don't be concerned about that as we work through getting towards the end of the year and making those expenditures and putting them where they should.
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question about that. You don't usually see 62% for local right now, you know,
Right, but that's,
but
and I,
that explains it.
and I've already moved, I moved some, quite a few at the end of December, like about a half of the year.
Yeah.
But then there's already, I was looking at the reports I ran at the end of February, and there's already quite a bit of money that needs to be moved back, and that just has not occurred yet. So, I'm monitoring it. So we are monitoring that, monthly. Any other questions about that particular report?
Going back to Cecil.
Thank you. Cecil, need to put that up. I'm sorry. I don't try to put her before you, that way you wouldn't get us to get out of town. It's okay, you're fine.
Good evening, Dr. Cecil.
Good evening. So I am here to talk about the proposed calendar. And I kind of just gave you a summary of all the state requirements and where we are with that. Start date no earlier than Monday closest to August 26th. We are starting on August 28th. Ending by the Friday closest to June 11th, so we will end on the 7th. We either have to have a minimum of 185 days or 1,025 hours of instruction, and the proposed calendar has 1,032 hours. We have to have a minimum of 9 teacher work days. We have 10. We have to have at least 2 optional. We have 1. We have to have the minimum of 10 annual vacation leave days, and we have all 10 of those. We also have the 11 legal holidays. And this is the second year of letters training, and so we have mandatory letters training dates that we have already set, so we won't have to do any calendar changes after the fact. And then we will have 5 early release days that are being used for letters training, and they're all 12 o'clock dismissals, so we won't have some at 12 and some at 1. They're all 12 o'clock days. Our letters training, August 21st will be the first letters training, and then you can see that we'll have some afternoon sessions and some morning sessions. Both of our semesters are balanced. We have 86 days in each semester and 516 hours in each of the semesters. And so in your packet, you do have the proposed calendar, which is a 6-week calendar. Any questions?
Where's the letters training gonna be held?
Letters training is actually held at the schools. It's a virtual training, so there's a
So
facilitator.
each school with elementary will.
Yes, K-5.
Are we bringing in facilitators or are we training our own?
We are actually training all of our own, and all of the instructional coaches are actually being trained. They're ahead of the teachers.
Okay.
So that we will have an in-house
Well, that's
trainer.
good, okay.
Anything else?
Thank you, Dr. Cecil.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Tilly, we're back to you. And we are moving on into action items.
Before you tonight are some budget amendments. The state budget amendment, you may say, well, gosh, why are we reducing it at this point in the year? But the state reduced our, small school allotment for Nursville, which is something they do annually. So that is incorporated into this, amendment, as well as we finally got, which it's really late for us to be getting our additional 20% of transportation funding, but we just got that, in February, actually. And we got about $12,000 for some stock on campus. So the net of 72,000 incorporates all of that. The federal government is constantly, or I should say DPI is constantly changing our federal allotments. If they have a reversion, then they send it back out. We thought our ESSER is one thing, and then they've given us about $5,000 more, and so that's constantly changing as well. We will see, we still do not have all of our federal, a full 100% of our allotment for a lot of our federal programs, especially Title I, II, III, IV. So, and we're, almost 75% done with the year, so. Capital outlay, that amendment coincides with what you approved last month with the roofing projects and having to increase our match. And finally, Fund 8, there were some additional funds, left over from NC Pre-K that have been, accumulating over the years. That is something that we really need to try and spend by the end of this fiscal year. That's not something we need to continuously carry over. And so
Did
working.
you say pre-K?
Yes, ma'am. And so working with, Ms. Bowen as well as Ms. Emerson, come up with some plans, to get that money spent. We've actually got a staff person, we're able to use this money to pay for them and save some money elsewhere. And so, but also shade structures, some of the, trikes that they need, just, replacing some equipment and that type of thing to try and spend this money that's been carried over for a couple of years. We were also a recipient of a SHAC grant, and South Creek Middle School received a field trip grant, and all that is incorporated into that budget amendment. Any questions?
And we need a motion to approve the budget amendments.
Move to approve the budget amendments as presented.
But moved and seconded to approve the budget amendments as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Guard.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, I'm here to go over the technology, security bids. And, just to give you a little bit of, background or timeline or a little history, during the height of the pandemic and following the guidelines, that the schools and the district was issued to track movement of students, staff, and guests throughout the facility, we as a district were struggling with the tracking of mask usage, social distancing, and cleaning of our facilities. And, you know, we were not able to, at times, to do an exact log of people in buildings because of our current camera coverages and those type of things.
Are you talking about all schools or the, innovation center?
Also,
Also.
so our solution was, using ESSER funding could be used to purchase, cameras and access control systems as long as they met the requirements and special specifications of the federal guideline. So where we started was in the fall of 2022, we contacted a company that had met with us previously in 2020. We asked the company to conduct an initial walkthrough of our facilities and determine what we need. And after that walkthrough, they determined that as a district with all our facilities, we needed approximately 500 cameras, 25 door access control stations. The estimated price at that time was $2.1 to $2.4 million. Following that guidelines from the ESSER funding, the state of North Carolina, our finance director in our department, and Board of Education policies, we developed a sealed bid process for cameras and access controls. So we completed, so Martin County Schools published the invitation to bid on January 6th of 2023. And you've got a short summary of that packet that I put up there for you this evening. We took out a lot of for y'all, we took out a lot of the legalese and all of those types of things, but what you have is basically what we were requesting based on the recommendations when we did the initial bid. We hosted a mandatory pre-bid meeting on January 23rd here at the Innovation Campus. And we had 18 representatives from multiple companies and that attended the meeting, and we did a full facility tour. So we started here at the Innovation Campus, and we finished that night about almost 9 hours later at the South Creek Middle High. We stressed during this meeting that we wanted a turnkey solution. We did not want to piece things together. We wanted something that was simple, easy for folks to operate. What I told them is I wanted something that my teenager at the house could operate. And because when you're in a situation where you got to track the movement of students and doing different things, you don't need to be fumbling, you need to go in and be able to use the system. So that was one of the stipulations that Mr. Bullock and I gave him in that meeting. We want something that's turnkey, that's easy to operate. All right, so Martin County Schools closed the bid on February 27th, 2023 at 12 p.m. and we hosted a bid opening at 3 p.m. on February 27th at the central office. We received 6 bids
with a range of a little bit under $400,000 to almost $1 million. We used guidelines and specifications of the bid on what we needed and a rubric that we had developed to grade each company accordingly. So as a result, we used those guidelines and we narrowed our decision to 2 companies. ModCom, which was a little under $400,000, was $389,644.05, which was the lowest bid. And JNB Tech, which was $465,357.87, which was the next lowest. When we compared the 2 companies, of course, both of them, they were the 2 lowest bids that we received. One's headquartered in Mount Holly, North Carolina, which is in Gaston County. They're within the 4-hour drive that we put into the bid for service and emergency purposes. They had an average score of 98 out of 100 on the rubric, and they can meet our end of July deadline, which is mentioned in the rubric. One of the reasons we want it by the end of July is we have a lot of administrators and folks that come back on staff, including SROs, the 1st of August. So we won't, and the company is going to handle the training. So what we wanted to do is, when I was a building principal, one of the toughest things to do at times was to learn something new after the kids are in the building, after you're already rolling. So what we wanted was by the end of July, so everybody that needs to be trained can be trained and be able to use the system accordingly, and they can meet that deadline. Also, they can meet the equipment and network requirements that we built into the bid. Their bid included 486 cameras, 25 access control entrances, and we requested a minimum of 45 days of recording. And that was per Ms. Bowen, with her experience with personnel and those types of things. At times, you've had to go back that far and check DVRs. So 45 days recorded. J&D Tech, of course, their quote was $465,357.87. Their headquarters is in Maysville, North Carolina, which is in Jones County. They scored a 95 out of 100 on the rubric. They can meet our July deadline, and they also can meet our network requirements, which was 409 cameras, 25 access control entrances, and the 45 days of recording. So after we went through and graded everything, to the board, we're recommending, the technology department recommends ModCom because they are the lowest bid. They are the most, not only the lowest, but the most responsible bid. They can meet the timelines and deadlines, and they can do everything that we need to do to be able to keep our students, track folks in our building, keep our access control, and keep our students and staff safe.
Is there a problem that they can do 486 and we wanted 500, or?
Well, what the technology, even when that original bid keeps changing, so these companies, kind of like with cell phones and automobiles, they keep upgrading. And so Ubiquity, which was one of the camera companies we looked at, has released another model that can cover more area.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how many door access did you say ModCom does?
25.
25.
Both of them were 25.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Need a motion.
I make a motion that we go with ModCom.
All right, we have a motion and a second to award the bid to ModCom LLC. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Gregory. Dr. Monroe, excuse me.
He gets called lots of stuff.
Thank you, sir. I bring to you, or what's in your packet, is the annual MOU, memorandum of understanding for our school resource officers with the Martin County Sheriff's Department. There are no changes in the MOU from the previous year other than the dates. Everything remains the same with regard to that. We have SROs at all of our schools, and part of that is through the funding that we received through the Safer Schools Grant, which provides the SROs for our elementary, middle schools, and as well as the commitment that our Sheriff Department and this board has made with regard to covering, our high school and our middle schools prior to the grant, that the funds, which are paid are out of completely different state funds.
Any questions? All right, need a motion.
Move to approve SRO MOU.
Have a motion and a second to approve the SRO MOU. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Dr. Monroe. Dr. Daly.
Yes, sir, thank you. ECU Leadership Academy, the state several years ago developed the Principal Fellows Program to prepare folks in principalship. Used to be a 2-year internship program where the students enrolled in the universities, paid their tuition and gave them a small stipend. But in that initial program, they had to give up their employment with the school system, which over time caused folks not to want to really get into the program because they were giving up 2 years before retirement and it's a big financial penalty. East Carolina applied for a grant, which they received. They're starting a new Principal Fellows program. They're calling the ECU Leadership Academy. But they've offered for school systems in the Northeast and Southeast regions. They've allocated 1 slot per school system. If we wish to use it, we can get more if other people turn them down as we go through. In order to nominate the person, however, the board has to agree to pay the person's salary for the first year they're in the program, keep them employed in Martin County Schools. They'll act as an administrative intern for that period of time. For the second year of the process, the grant actually pays the vast majority, about 90% of the salary in terms of going through. I estimate it's going to cost about $74,000, given wherever the person falls on the experience scale in terms of both their salary and benefits, in terms of our commitment to the program. I think one of the things that benefits us in this is we can take our own folks and prepare them to work in Martin County schools in the future. And I think that's helpful. And the other thing I'll mention, and I think I mentioned this before, but the new board members may not, I don't think you were here at the time. There are about 65% of our folks that can retire either now or within 3 years, principals and central office staff. Finding people to fill those positions is going to be difficult, and I think we need to do what we can to grow our own and have folks from here be ready to accept those positions. So I ask for the board approval to go ahead and move forward with the nomination process and the commitment to put this in the budget for next year.
So what does this do? Certify them to be administrators?
They get the principal's license.
Well, why don't they do it like we did? We just went to graduate school. While you work.
We still have that program. East Carolina still has that program. The advantage of this, I think, actually in terms of doing, gives the person a lot more experience in terms of what they're doing and how they're doing it. They spend a lot more time working with principals and being better prepared. It's not just 1 semester of an internship.
So in this program, will the pre-principal, I'll call it, stays in the Martin County School
Yes.
during the day and
3 days a week, they work full-time in one of the schools acting as an assistant principal, like Ms. Hardison is doing, and Ms. Bird is doing.
okay.
Assistant.
Whereas used to, we would just take 1 semester to do an internship at
And
the
they
school.
do that in addition to everything else they're doing.
So now it's a whole year of it.
It's a whole year, 2 years of it.
That's a big difference.
They go 2 years working almost full-time. So people come out much better prepared than they would going through the regular program.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? We need a motion.
Move to approve the ECU Leadership Academy.
Moved and seconded to approve the ECU Leadership Academy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. You can carry right on, Dr. Davis.
Thank you, sir. The Alternative Education Program, we've spoken about this, Dr. Monroe has several times. I'm doing this with the not because actually in addition to the budget, as opposed to a programmatic thing in terms of doing it. As we mentioned before, we're required to have some alternative services. We started those. I think they need to expand to serve more students. I think we need to be prepared to help folks that are having academic difficulties in the regular setting. We have students that have been long-term suspended. They need services. We have students who need a different alternative from the regular school day in terms of both behavior issues and educational opportunities. We had a program in the past, the actual salary of that thing was about $475,000 a year, if I remember correctly. That's more, in my opinion, than we can afford to pay. I think technology has improved, one thing that COVID has done, it really has improved the ability to provide educational services for students, and some students, not all, but some actually do much better at that than they do being a regular school instructor that school day. What we're proposing at this point is to start the program out with a coordinator. That would be an assistant principal level position in terms of supervising students and working with the other schools. Students would stay enrolled in their home school, but this would be a person who could act as the coordinator between the two in terms of doing it, but also handling just some problems that happen to occur, although we're not really expecting it. The thing that adds to this, as we go through it, I know Mr. Harold is not here tonight, but the last thing is, why is it so expensive? It's expensive to hire folks, not, the salary is a scale. But the cost of this, about 35–40% of the added cost comes from benefits that we're required to pay in terms of doing it. So you can see what it would take to hire the coordinator and hire a teacher assistant level person to work with those. I'd like to go ahead and, if the board will approve the positions, begin looking for the coordinator first and get this so that we can have it firmly established and planned out and in place. If we can start some students over the summer, and then we can begin next year with the program fully in place and ready to operate. I also think that this is a good alternative for parents who call us after they've chosen homeschooling to want to know about what resources we have. We really can't help homeschool students, but I think we can provide an option for parents. We can provide the educational services through online things, and we can put some of those homeschool students back on our roles in terms of doing it, and not lose as many as we've lost in the past. The more students we add on, the less the cost saves the money that we would have lost as we go through this. I'm not saying this is going to be self-supporting. I'm trying to sell that idea. I think it will help us in terms of retaining students and maintaining the money we get from the state and federal government for funding it. Questions?
I couldn't follow everything.
I'm sorry.
I'm kind of slow tonight, I guess. We're talking about alternative, the kids that cut up, right?
We're talking about
Or anybody that may need.
any student who needs an alternative to the way that they're.
Okay.
So it's both discipline issues. There's also those kids that are struggling in school.
Okay.
That actually do better in a different setting.
Right, okay, well, that's good then, so, okay, we're opening up, okay.
We're expanding it for them.
Now, I thought you said the AP would supervise,
And
and then you were talking about the coordinator. I'm
The
confused.
coordinator is at an assistant principal level in terms of funding and responsibility. So we're looking for somebody.
So you're not talking about the school AP?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, that threw
The
me off.
coordinator is at an assistant principal level.
So we can hire one coordinator for the county for the
That's
whole?
correct.
Okay. Well, that sounds good, and the kids will be in a home setting, did you say?
They may be at home. We also have space at Riverside High School. For
Okay.
students who want to come to school, we're able to do that also.
Okay, okay, I didn't get all that a while ago, thank you.
That was probably my not articulating right. Mr. Carter.
No, it's my ears, okay. Got you, well, it sounds like, that sounds good.
Dr. Monroe's worked hard to draw up the specifications, and I think it's programming will work.
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
All right, we need a motion.
Well, make a motion that we go with this new alternative plan. I don't know how specific you want me to be right now. That Dr. Monroe has,
All right, second. But I have a motion and a second to approve the alternative education program proposed initial staffing. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay.
and you said this will start next year?
We're gonna start advertising for personnel, we'll get it in place. We already have some students we're working with. We need to coordinate a position to get it organized and serve more.
So what are we gonna do to finish up this year for kids that need to be in an alternative school and not in our classroom?
If they are long-term suspended, we're already serving those. For any student that's recommended for long-term suspension, and that suspension is upheld, then we're prepared to offer them the services right now.
Okay, how about the kids that don't have a home to go to, but we still don't need them in a classroom?
We have plans to do those also at the moment. We can do that also.
We're doing it at one school or more than one school?
We mean in terms of like.
Are we housing them in one school right now?
No, we're not housing anyone in a school at the moment,
Okay,
because we need
so
somebody.
they're
to
all at
supervise.
home,
But we're working with some of the local agencies, we can provide options for other folks
okay.
in terms of doing it. If the child's long-term suspended, our first intent is to offer them a way to continue their education.
Now, I'm not too worried about the child that's long-term suspended. I understand we can look after them. I'm worried about the kid that's in the classroom, that's disrupting the classroom now that we need to get out and do something with.
We have a pilot program we're doing at Riverside Middle School at the moment, go to the end of the year, and we can look at expanding, and then we'll put this in place as soon as we can. We need the positions to hire someone to be in place to serve them.
I understand that. I'm just trying to find out what are we going to do now for what needs to happen
Our
now.
first is to hire the coordinator. Our second, if we need to, is hire the assistant. And we'd be prepared to put them in a location at a school if we need to. As soon as those people are on board. Thank you.
All right, need a motion for closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move the Martin County Board of Education in a closed session, subject to advice from the attorney pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1 and A6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel information under General Statute 115C-319 and to consider matters relating to initial employment of an individual employee. The board will also go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege, to consider confidential student matters as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A1 and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G and North Carolina Statute 115C-402. The board would also go into closed session to establish or instruct staff or agents concerning the terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A5.
We have the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to go into closed session, all in favor say aye.
please.
Oh, no, you're fine. Thank you.
All righty, we're back in open session. Need a motion to accept personnel.
Second.
Have a motion to accept the personnel as recommended in closed session. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. I need a motion for the closed session minutes.
So moved. Keep closing.
Keep them closed. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the closed session minutes and keep them closed. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Mr. Guard, would you like to just say a word about the plaques in the back so everybody will know?
Yes, sir. At the, we've been doing different spotlights each meeting. Well, this, past, month, Mr. Bennett's Ag Mechanics 2 classes have been doing some woodworking and some different things. So they have prepared each one of you a plaque. Some of you already have them, like Ms. Purvis, and the remainder at the back for y'all to get on the way out. This is done by Mr. Bennett's, Agricultural Mechanics, level 2 class. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Tell him they're beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. I
We
sure
very much appreciate Mr.
Yes, sir.
Bennett and his class. All right, with that, there's no other business for the evening. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay.